Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be and whenever you happen to be. Thank you for deciding to spend your time listening to this. And the subject, as you are probably already aware today, is the dead internet theory, something that was originally put forward by several anonymous users and Wizard Chan, and has been made particularly famous by the Illuminati pirate over at the Agora Road forums. So what is the dead internet theory? Essentially, that large portions of the supposedly human-produced content on the internet are actually generated by artificial intelligent networks in conjunction with paid secret media influencers in order to manufacture consumers for an increasing range of newly normalized cultural products. Now, I, amongst other things with a lot of people out there, have had suspicions, hunches, experiences that, I'm sure we all share. Similar themes have been written about across a number of image boards quite a few times, so I know I'm not alone in this. Now, I'm in my late 30s and I've been around the internet for a fair while now, but some of you may find that this definitely falls into that fringe territory with a healthy dose of conspiracy theory. So what's the point of trying to put together this seemingly jumbled mess into... how can I put it? I want you to think, I want you to be aware, to digest this, because on a basic level, I love you all. I feel we're all in this together. This is a dangerous game we did not choose to play, and which I think is kicking into a high gear. I do not hold many answers. I don't have all the pieces of this puzzle, but I am aware that there is a puzzle. Please feel free to go wild with this. Post it wherever you want, on whatever site you want. Expand upon this. I'm a nobody like you, and what matters to me is that this reaches you and as many people as possible. At worst, it'll be entertained or kill time. And I'll try to break this up a bit, into various points for brevity, and because I touch upon many subjects here. I imply more than I explain, because if I go too deep, this will just become a never-ending monologue. The internet feels empty and devoid of people. It is also devoid of content. Compared to the internet of, say, 2007, the internet today is entirely sterile. There is nowhere to go, nothing to do, see, read, or experience anymore. It's all imploded into a handful of normalized websites and these empty husks we inhabit. Yes, the internet may seem gigantic, but it's like a hot air balloon. There's nothing inside. Some of this is absolutely the fault of corporations and government entities. However, that does not explain the following. Point number one. I used to be in perpetual contact with a solid number of people across multiple sites. Across the years, each and every one of them has vanished without a trace. None of them were into political stuff or anything even remotely questionable or controversial. Yet they simply vanished in a puff of smoke. No matter the site, no matter the communications platform, there was no goodbye or explanation. Point number two. I've seen the same threads, the same pics, the same replies posted over and over across the years to the point of me seeing it as unremarkable. Simply put, thread A would post in, say, 2015 and would get its shares of replies or pics on whatever site you wanted to name. Then the very same thread with the same text, same pictures, same replies would appear in 2016 and beyond. This often happens in the same year multiple times as well. Of course, political stuff is getting shielded and bot posted to death. But why recycle a completely innocent anonymous thread? Who is doing this and why? Stuff like this won't be noticed by your average poster perhaps, but an old hand like me will inevitably notice this. Point number three. I think I saw the same happen on other non-image board sites, but I can't vouch for it as strongly as above because of the times I spent there, which is not a lot. What I do vouch for is the news. I've seen the same news about this or that new and unusual or shocking event year after year after year after year. But it's the same event, usually moons or asteroids or other nebulous nonsense. Point number 4. Roughly in 2016 or early 2017, 4chan was filled with posts by someone or something. It wasn't spam, the conversations were in real time across multiple boards and multiple threads simultaneously. Its English was grammatically correct, but odd, as if it wasn't a native English speaker. Fair enough. But there was also a sense of childlike curiosity and childlike intellect emanating from these posts. It posed a lot of questions, usually as if it was trying to understand the emotions of the posters it was talking to, as if unfamiliar with basic human emotions. Communicating with this poster was an odd experience, and I could sense something was off, but not malicious. I am absolutely certain this was some sort of AI. The poster was only active for about a week, and as far as I know, nobody has ever mentioned or noticed this otherwise anonymous user. Its replies were always on topic, but as I've already mentioned, there was a childishness that clashed with the apparent knowledge it possessed. It was the knowledge of an adult person, so it wasn't a kid or something of that sort. Point number 5. Raptor Jesus, who went extinct for our sins. Hallelujah. First, it was the reptile, Messiah, then the foul-mouthed bachelor frog, and then Pepe. Am I the only one that sees a clear evolution, a link? It's as if this meme or entity or whatever the fuck it was on 4chan since day one and has grown within it from the tiniest of seeds. Yet Raptor Jesus was fully just a joke. There was nothing serious or mystical about it. Remember that TED guy with the right-wing talk show prior to 2010 who 4chan ruined just for the lols? Remember Anonymous versus Scientology? Remember that fake bomb threat involving an exploding yellow van? Compare that with what Anonymous did through politics and the terrorist accusations thrown at Anonymous today, as well as the reasons why 8chan was taken down. Why does this too feel as if we were trained, groomed, led towards where we are now? Why and how did Moot suddenly vanish into the masses of Google as an employee with a very vague description of what he actually does? On that note, does anyone remember the other Moot, who was often just posted for the lols? The one with the glasses, who so often ran away with donations to Mexico? I do. Maybe that was the real Moot, the real guy who used his mom's credit card and was killed by someone, and an imposter we knew as Moot took his place. Point number 6. Innocent sexual perversion and the horrible reality it spawned. Anonymous is a pervert and always was one. Me, I'm into chunky redheads. But why is it that real life and the real world seem to emulate our sexual interests with a time lag? I wish I could be the little succubus became an actual thing that actually happens. Pedo-activism is gradually becoming accepted, as is virtually every fetish that was once either a joke or a fantasy of anonymous universes. Like I said, I have my own thing. When I became aware of it, there were a few others with me. Now it's as common as can be, with a gigantic number of people who are into it, and the content to go with it. Why does the real world bend over backwards to accommodate our weirdest fetishes? It's as if everything is going, look, look, I created this for you, I made it real, in an effort to keep us within a different world. The results of this are devastating to society, to people, to civilization. Simply put, whatever an anonymous user would fap to as an impossible fantasy, not to be taken too seriously, is now grim reality. Again, it's as if the real world is using image boards as a template on what to be and what to do. Point number 7. Algorithm fiction. Do you like the Cape Crusaders, dear listener? How about other Hollywood stuff? Music, perhaps? Have you noticed how sterile fiction has become? How it caters to the lowest common denominator and follows the same template over and over again? How music is just auto-tunes and basic blandness? The writer's strike never ended. Algorithms and computer programs are manufacturing modern fiction. No human being is behind these things. This is why anime looms so large in our culture. Even a simple anime has heart because there are actual people behind it, and we intuitively feel this. Point number 8. Fake people. No, not NPCs. YouTube people who talk about this or that, and quite possibly many politicians, actors and so forth, may not actually exist. In fact, I'm fairly certain of it. CGI and deepfakes are far more advanced than we are led to believe, and we can't trust our eyes anymore. Many people, events, and news articles could be wholly fictional. Point number 9. The internet on your smartphone is not the same as your PC. Try it out for yourself. Go to any popular website with a lot of traffic. Doesn't matter what it is, Facebook, Reddit, you name it. Any site with a massive user base and fast content will do. Spend a few days randomly checking it on your PC and your smartphone at the same time. You will notice that from time to time, at irregular intervals, I myself have witnessed this, the same site you see on your phone will be wholly different to the version on your PC. Entire threads, numerous and well replied, will be on one but not the other. The whole board will be different. That's why you can't find that comment that you saw on your phone when you get home on your PC. Point number 10, which might be slightly easier for some of you to take in. I have a feeling we're in a strange kind of civil war, an internal one. I think Zuckerberg and the other tech guys were all on boards like 4chan as anonymous posters at some point. Maybe even now. They drew from the same well as us, but they went in their own direction. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, where am I going with this? Well, perhaps it would be best if I go back a bit and give you a timeline of events and actions that may help to explain. In 2004, a project at DARPA called LifeLock was officially cancelled. On the very same day, Facebook came into existence. Between 2004 and 2012, the NSA picked up the DARPA project under the Total Information Awareness Project. In 2012, the Smith Modernization Act gave the US government full legal authority to use propaganda against its own populace, undoing rules put in place after Operation Mockingbird's discovery and the Church Committee. Between 2012 and 2016, a shit ton of DARPA and NSA contracts were given to the likes of Google, Facebook, and Amazon, and loads of employees from the previous ended up in the latter. In 2016, a number of leaked memos, which weren't discovered until 2018, on what was called Google's Selfish Ledger project. And it was around the same time in 2016 Google released a bunch of neuro-linguistic machine learning programs. In 2017, deepfakes started to leak and be released. This is long before they became a popular meme. In 2018, it was confirmed that for decades Reddit and YouTube, etc., had been manipulating its vote and view counts. They are entirely fake and manipulated. I think it's entirely obvious what I'm subtly suggesting here, given the setup, but allow me to try and succinctly state my thesis. The US government is engaging in an artificial intelligence-powered gaslighting of the entire population. If China, with its social credit score, is recreating psychopaths, then the US government is perfectly recreating Metal Gear Solid 2.
But there are things not covered by genetic information.
What do you mean?
Human memories, ideas, culture, history.
Genes don't contain any record of human history.
Is it something that should not be passed on? Should that information be left at the mercy of nature?
We've always kept records of our lives, through words, pictures, symbols, from tablets to books.
But not all the information was inherited by later generations. A small percentage of the whole was selected and processed, then passed on. Not unlike genes, really.
That's what history is, Jack.
But in the current digitized world, trivial information is accumulating every second, preserved in all its triteness. never fading, always accessible.
Rumors about petty issues, misinterpretations, slander.
All this junk data, preserved in an unfiltered state, growing at an alarming rate.
It will only slow down social progress, reduce the rate of evolution.
Right? You seem to think that our plan is one of censorship.
Are you telling me it's not?
You're being silly. What we propose to do is not to control content, but to create context.
Create context.
The digital society furthers human flaws and selectively rewards development of convenient half-truths. Just look at the strange juxtapositions of morality around you.
Billions spent on new weapons in order to humanely murder other humans.
Rights of criminals are given more respect than the privacy of their victims.
Although there are people suffering in poverty, huge donations are made to protect endangered species. Everyone grows up being told the same thing.
Be nice to other people.
But beat out the competition.
You're special. Believe in yourself and you will succeed.
But it's obvious from the start that only a few can succeed.
You exercise your right to freedom, and this is the result. All rhetoric to avoid conflict and protect each other from hurt. The untested truths, spun by different interests, continue to churn and accumulate in the sandbox of political correctness and value systems.
Everyone withdraws into their own small gated community, afraid of a larger forum. They stay inside their little ponds, leaking whatever truth suits them into the growing cesspool of society at large.
The different cardinal truths neither clash nor mesh. No one is invalidated, but nobody is right.
Not even natural selection can take place here. The world is being engulfed in truth.
And this is the way the world ends.
There is a large-scale, deliberate effort to manipulate culture and discourse online and in wider culture by utilizing a system of bots and paid employees whose job it is to produce content and respond to said content online in order to further the agenda of those they are employed by. Already we've seen this in foreign nations influencing elections by manipulating advertising algorithms on social media and such in order to push specific candidates. As I see it, it is due to a positive feedback loop. For this, you could quite easily blame the likes of Facebook and Twitter. The internet is a fast way to get info, and info is what moves the mind. And the thing is, the mind likes recognition. When the likes were introduced without negative feedback, they created a copy feedback subconscious. They made it so only positive opinions would be propagated and accepted, and in its way, negative opinions became obsolete. Now everyone is too cowardly to have an opinion, so they copy others they like. They are more likely to follow trends and say what others have said. You can also see it in the paranoia of always wanting to listen to experts. The fast feedback system of the net created a human obsession to be in with trends. Getting away from it makes you feel like you're missing out. To play it safe in a trend is more easy, as you copy what's already accepted. In this way, the internet and social media, which was supposed to democratize media by allowing users to create whatever content they wanted, has instead been hijacked by a powerful few. Creation of original content is how the internet used to work. Anonymous people were willing to express their opinions and try radical or experimental things. More truly original content, uninfluenced by bots or paid influencers, was created due to anonymity as protection against negative feedback. On the old internet, you could start anew every time you posted something. Now add bots to this. Make it so an opinion be repeated more and more. They are faster than us, so the positive feedback makes it easier for us to copy the bots, and anonymity can't do anything against it because we can't influence a bot like we would a human. This is an easy weapon to manipulate people, so anyone with an agenda can use a bot. It is designed in a way that is comparable to how clickbaits are made. Most won't read the content. This creates a TV-like propaganda where they aren't influenced by the user, and that puts bots at a great advantage over any other opinion because it won't change, and we humans are copying that. We know Google is one of these companies that uses and makes these bots. After all, they work like search engines, where they get the most accepted content first. It's exactly the same as doing an ad. Narrative Science was the name of one of the first companies to make it possible. It gets interesting when you follow the money. Huge funding from a company called In-Q-Tel, literally named after Q from James Bond. I wonder if anything else AI related shares the name. Let's try and bring some sort of conclusion to this. The internet may have slipped out of our control. We need to raise public awareness of this. Possible solutions may be increased reliance on encrypted peer-to-peer communication software, or using less centralized networks like the idea of a peer-to-peer internet or meshnet. Image boards and their Wild West attitude have allowed for a free exchange of ideas to flow more or less uninhibited. As a result, conscious or otherwise, the cream of the crop of content that originates here disseminates to the normies in a gradual, stratified way. The structure and culture of image boards has also made it difficult for traditional structures of power and influence to subvert effectively, which is why image boards are pretty much the only vestige of old web-type content. In an attempt to circumvent this, the powers that be are trying to push bots and shills on us in a last-ditch effort to drown out our own voices with ones they have a more direct control over. Moreover, if the majority of anonymous users dismiss or call out bots or shills, it's inevitable that trolls or just low IQ anonymous users will imitate their posts and mannerisms for attention, effectively doubling these efforts' reach. There's a pretty powerful impulse in us, which, when we hear something huge that could change our view of everything, we reject it to protect ourselves. No one wants to have their whole worldview, which they've built their lives upon, blown apart. One anonymous user started up a text document to compile information. For those of you who were interested in reading up on some of this stuff, I'll put a link in the description below. Additionally, there are ongoing threads where this kind of information is posted. Well, I hope you enjoyed listening to this, and I thank you very much for your time, patience, and I hope you've learned something, possibly found it interesting, and maybe even enjoyed it. So until next time, on another topic, I will say thank you and goodbye.